Hey guys, this is Locke. This video is going to be all about Black Rose Helena. But actually, right before we get into that, I want to mention one thing which I think makes her and other spellcasters very, very powerful. And that is this weapon that was just released. So most other weapons give you plus 20, or sorry, not plus 20, but plus 15 magic attack, or plus 15 of, some other stat. Like for example, if I look at this bow, it gives you plus 20 magic attack, but because it's a UR bow. But any other MR weapon gives you plus 15 of something. Like for example, these gloves gives you plus 15 magic attack. This magic penetration, that is insane, because basically it increases your damage by a lot more. So I would actually think about using this more than Yuna's weapon, like this weapon, for even light units or lightning units, because the plus 20 lightning attack, plus 20 light attack, I don't think that most of the time, I don't think that would have as much of an impact as the 20% resistance. And I think if you pair this with Garvel's TMR, which I will show you in a second, it is, actually let me go by this, it's faster, this one. So what this does is that it increases the again the magic attack resistance piercing by 50%. So you put this TMR on somebody and give them that weapon, and you can ignore up to 70% of their magic resistance. So I mean, like, since Black Rose Helena just hit, we are expecting a lot of people to anticipate a lot of people having her, especially with the pity. So a lot of people will be like, okay, so almost not everyone, but a lot of people are going to be running Black Rose Helena. A lot of people are going to be running Yuna. So we need to put magic resistance cards. We need to put magic resist gear, equipment, and so on and so on. Use these two things together, and you can ignore 70% of all of that resistance. That is huge. So I think, with the release of this staff, I think mages are going to be very, very powerful. So with that said, let's get into Black Rose Helena. Like, the reason I said that first was just to set the setting. Like, now we know that mages are going to be powerful, and once we set that, let's look into the most powerful mage that was just released. So to start with, she has some really interesting abilities. I'm going to start actually with one of her X-Job skills. Now I only have her at level 89, so I can't show you the skill itself, but you'll have to take my word for it. Basically, what this skill, this passive does, is that it increases magic by 60% and it lowers spirit by 8. But once she gets her EX upgrade, what this also does is that it reduces her casting time by 350 casting speed. So basically, a spell casts when you have hit 1000 casting speed, and this reduces it by 35%. Sorry, not 35. This reduces it by 20%. Sorry, I got it confused. This actually only reduces it by minus 200, not minus 350. This is only minus 200. So it reduces the cast speed from 1000 to 800. But she has another skill, this skill, which also reduces her own activation time by another 350. So if you combine both of them, that's a total reduction of 550 out of the 1000 casting speed required to cast a spell. So it reduces it by more than half, which means most of her spells, they're going to cast very quickly. She also has pretty high agility. Combine that with her vision card, which also gives agility. I'll go into that later. But basically, she's going to be very fast. And on top of being fast, she's going to cast skills, like the cast time skills, quite fast as well. So that's what I first wanted to say. I mean, I personally am not really a fan of using mages that have high cast times, like Hilfe, for example. I think she's a great unit, but I just find that cast time, it just throws off my way of playing her. But Black Rose Helena, I mean, first of all, her casting is very, very fast, and on top of that, she has other things that actually negate that problem almost totally. So with that said, let's look at her unique skills. So the first skill is Witch's Hex. So this lowers spirit of units, I think up to 30, and then deals magic damage. So she also has a mastery, which I should probably have mentioned first. she has a mastery that reduces, or basically that increases her magic attack resistance piercing rate by an additional 20. So remember what I first talked about, that if you put the right gear on them, the mages can ignore 70% of magic resistance. Well, if with that same setup, Black Rose Helena can ignore 90% of an opponent's magic resistance. So good luck building magic resist against her, because it's just not going to work if somebody's using Black Rose Helena in this way. So what are your other ways of mitigating her damage? Well, you can build High Spirit, and High Spirit might help you to negate her, her insane damage output. But she has the skill, which I just talked about, that lowers the opponent's spirit by up to 30 and then does damage. So even if you build High Spirit, if you build like say 100 spirit, sure, she can only do 30% of damage. She can only penetrate that much. But it still lowers spirit by quite a huge amount. So it's very, very difficult to negate damage from her. That's why she is literally the best damage dealing mage out there right now. But if that wasn't enough, once she gets her EX upgrade on the skill, it additionally lowers the AP of enemies that the skill lands on. So if she gets the jump on you before you can attack, she might actually reduce your AP to enough that you can't cast whatever skill you wanted to. So that makes this skill very powerful. She's going to deal a lot of damage, and on top of that, she might actually prevent you from casting whatever skill you wanted to. Very, very powerful. So her next skill, Devastation, reduces any magic barrier that whatever units that are within this range has. So since you cannot build high magic resistance to negate her damage, and she lowers your spirit, maybe you say, oh, you know what, maybe I will just use units like, for example, Spellblades that have a magic resist barrier. Well, that's not going to help either, because she can destroy barriers and deal basically non-elemental large damage. So she does, as I said earlier, it's hard. It's really, really difficult to mitigate damage that you're going to take from her, because she can go through all of them. She can destroy barriers, she can lower your spirit, and she has very high magic resistance piercing rate. And then her next skill, Darken Focus. So this skill, I already mentioned that it lowers her reduces her total spell casting speed from 1000 by 250, and then you stack it with her passive, it lowers it down to 550. But additionally, it also gives you up to 30 accuracy at max level for her and all her allies in this range. So I've been using 9S, especially in the last class match, because I really like his assault field buff, because it increases accuracy of himself and units by 40. This is sort of like that. It increases it by 30, a little bit less, but still very powerful. And so she fills that role. Like, I don't feel like I need to use 9S anymore specifically for that, because that actually was 80% of the reason why I brought him, was because I really wanted a way to deal with evade units, because I wasn't using any guaranteed hit units. So she can fill a similar role. Like, this is not enough just to hit evade teams, obviously, but it's a great boost. So if you use this along with Alex Ring and so on and so on for other units that you really want to have a high hit rate, this will help. So but you might not actually even need that, because when she gets to job level 25, she actually does get her very own guaranteed hit skill. So this is what I meant. It's very, very difficult to negate damage from her. If you build very high evade, she has a guaranteed hit unit. If you go with barriers, she can break barriers. If you go with high spirit, she can lower your spirit. If you go with high magic resistance, she can penetrate the magic penetrate that magic resistance. So how do you negate her damage? Well, I mean, the short answer is you can't. Also, her limit burst, if you happen to go with very high dark resist, her limit burst also lowers your dark resistance and then does large damage. So if you happen to go that route where you're where you stack high dark resist, she can lower that as well. And even if you don't, even if you have like say 0 dark resist, this is going to lower your dark resist anyway, so it'll make sure that you always take 38% more damage regardless of what your dark resist is. So in short, she's going to deal a lot of damage, and it's almost like impossible to to negate her damage. Which is basically what I've been saying, is that this is why she is the best mage type unit in the game right now. So if you are playing against her, what can you do? As far as I can tell, the only real weakness is that she doesn't have a skill to remove the re-raise or immortal spirit ability. So basically, she's going to do the damage that she's going to do, but if you are using units like Yuna with re-raise to give yourself an extra chance of living, that might be the way to fight her teams. Otherwise, I don't actually see another way to do it. I mean, you know, basically you have to kill her before she kills you, but you can't lower her damage. I mean, I'm assuming that if like like obviously if both of you have a Black Rose Helena, whoever, you know, it's luck and positioning and so on and so on. But assuming that, you know, your opponent has Black Rose Helena and you don't, how do you fight this kind of team, especially in like auto battles or like guild wars? How do you deal with it? In my opinion, I think the key lies around that re-raise ability. Now again, they might do something like they might pair her with Dwayne, or they might pair her with Gilgamesh to remove the re-raise or things like that. But you know, then they're limiting their slots, and maybe you can, you know, use Yuna and Sakura to deal more damage to them than they can deal to you, things like that. But those are all things we have to talk about later, and it's like strategies that I really want to explore, and I haven't even got there because I haven't even finished building my own Black Rose Helena yet. But if you came to this video saying how do I fight this, in my opinion, I think that re-raise is going to be re-raise and immortal spirit. I think are going to be the key ways to tackle her. That's what I think. But I have not tested this out anywhere near enough, and I haven't even finished building her yet. So this is just like a thought that I wanted to put out there. Now, there is a lot more going for her than just her main job skills. So she has 2 different sub-jobs like everyone else does, and they're both very, very good. So she has the Spellblade sub-job and the Arithmetician sub-job. I'm going to start with the Arithmetician because I think it's very powerful. And as I mentioned before, I don't actually like playing units that have a large casting time. And basically these skills don't have any cast time at all. So skills like, where did it go? Dark 4, level 4 dark. So basically this has a higher range than any of our other skills. It has a range of 6 instead of 5, and is instant cast. So you know, like you can still use the skill to inflict a huge amount of damage instantly. You can use her as a double quicken target and chain the skill over and over. You can chain it with her own LB if you want. It'll do massive amounts of damage. So you don't actually have to play her like a typical mage, because you can completely remove that spell casting time by changing her to the Arithmetician subjob. On top of that, she also gets a heal from the Arithmetician subjob as well. So she has a single target cure, and she has where's the other one? Height 3 cura. So she can also cure in an area like this up to a range of 6. So these are very powerful skills, and up until now, you know, Ildira and Halloween Leela were the best farmers in the game because they have access to these instant cast AoE spells that deal a lot of damage, and well, basically she can do that, but even more damage than they can because, well, she's level 120. She has a great passive that increases her magic a lot more. She has magic resistance, blah blah blah. You heard it all already, but basically she does what they could do even better and more. So that's the Arithmetician subjob. The Spellblade subjob is actually very interesting as well. I think most of the time people will still probably go for the Arithmetician subjob, but the Spellblade subjob does provide the magic resistance buff, this buff. So this increases the magic resistance of you and your allies in this area by 38. So let's take a look at what her magic resist is right now. I'm actually going to put her into a team and show you what I mean. So we're going to do this, and okay, so she has a magic resistance of 32 if I put the Providence of Light resistance on her. So if you add if you take the 38% from the Spellblade subject on top of that, that goes up to 70%. The other 30%, you can, for example, you can use something like Fenrir, not on her, but on somebody else, but I'm going to equip it on her just now, just to make a point. And then you can use, I think, Typhon has magic resistance. So this would increase her magic resistance. Basically, it gives her like almost like null magic. Like she's basically completely resistant to magic damage with the correct build. I just want to actually make sure Typhon has magic resist in his build, because I might not have taken those nodes. Okay, so Typhon, oh, he does. Okay, he has 7 magic resistance, but basically you can put another Esper. I don't recall off the top of my head a magic Esper that reduces magic resistance, but basically you can at least increase her magic resistance to 90. If you put the right Esper on her, you can basically nullify magic resistance, which makes her a pretty good magic tank. Except for the fact that, as I said before, you can penetrate 70% of that magic resist with the correct TMR and the correct weapon. So, you know, I don't expect her to be a great tank, even with 100% magic resistance, because you can penetrate magic so easily with the right setup. But still, like, not everyone you meet is going to have 70% magic resist penetration, right? And if they have a team of, say, 2 spellcasters, like, say, for example, they have Yuna and Sakura, only one of them will have that 70% magic resist penetration. The other one might probably have 20. And again, some people might not even have Garvel's TMR. And even if they have Garvel's TMR, they might want to use a different TMR. They might want to use, like, say, shield TMRs, or you know, like other such TMRs. There's a lot of great TMRs, right? So so this, you know, 90%, 100% magic resist might be very good as well on her. So in addition to doing damage that you can't reduce, she also has access to instant cast AoE spells, instant cast heals, and very high magic resist. All of these depend obviously on the build. You can't have everything at once, but you have a potential to have, you know, one of these. Like, you have the potential to have instant cast heals and damage, or you have the potential to have, say, 90 to 100% magic resist. So this makes her very, very good, obviously, right? So I think, you know, like with the addition of her, the meta is obviously going to change a lot. Like right now, especially in things like Guild War, or even in Arena, a team that I see very often is something like, you know, like, actually something like this, maybe? No, not like this. So I'm just gonna go here and redo it. So a team I see very often is something like King Mont, Yuna, and either Titus or Gilgamesh. I'm gonna put Titus right now. So this is kind of the team that I see everywhere, especially in Guild War. This is the 3-man team that I see a lot of. Sometimes Titus replaced by Gilgamesh. But now that we have Black Rose Helena, I think this team is going to change to have Black Rose Helena as the main damage dealer, because it makes sense, right? Like, if you have Titus instead, you can reduce Titus's damage by you know, having slash resist. Sure, King Mont has a slash resist down skill. It lowers slash resist by 38%, but he might not get a chance to use it, or he might use a different skill, or he might, you know, he might do something else, right? So it's not guaranteed that he will use it. And even if he does, you are only reducing slash resistance by 38%. I've seen Warrior of Light with, say, like 80 to 90% slash resist. So that's not going to that's only going to reduce it from 90% to say like 50 something percent, right? But with Black Rose Helena as the main damage dealer in this team, that is, it's a whole different ball game. Like, you can't, as I said, you can't reduce her damage. How do you deal with this team? I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. As I mentioned before, like re-raise and immortal spirits and things like that, I think might be the key to surviving her damage, but I haven't exactly figured it out. And if you guys know of a very good way to deal with this, let me know in the comments, because I would really not only like to hear from you, but I would really like to test it out as well. I at some point, hopefully, I get some ideas on how to deal with this team, and I can make a video about it and tell you guys. So if you guys already know or have suggestions or ideas, or if you guys play in JP and you know things that can beat this team, let me know, because I would really like to test this out and also release that information as well with tests and, you know, what I think and how successful it is. I don't have access to all the units, so you know, like suppose you're like, oh, you know, Luel really beats this team. My Luel is level 1, so I can't really do anything about that. But I would still really like to hear your ideas. So if you have ideas, let me know. But that is my review of Black Rose Helena. In a nutshell, she's insane. She is very good, and I think she's going to be meta-defining for a while. Because, I mean, sure, there are going to be other units that are getting released, but it's just that she's able to do so many things. She's able to take care of evasion. She's able to break barriers. She's able to do dark resist down. She's able to penetrate your magic resistance. She's able to lower your spirit. All of that in one package, and at on top of that, heals and instant cast spells and magic resist. It's a lot. And even if you have other units that power creep her, I still don't see how it would completely replace her unless you add a unit that can do all of that plus like 3 other things or something. But you know, as far as I know, I don't think there are any units that do something like that. So I would really like to know what you guys think. This is my review for it. This is what I think. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think. I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Bye.